我也。Hey guys, I have traveled about an hour outside of Shanghai to Zhejiang province. I'm here in the city of Shaoxing, which is the home of the famous writer Lu Xun, who's supposed to be the father of modern Chinese literature. And it's also the home of Huangjiu, or what's translated as yellow wine, which is actually a grain alcohol, and it's supposed to be one of the world's oldest forms of alcohol. So we're going to spend the day exploring the beautiful old streets and canals of this ancient city. It's about 2,500 years old, this city, and we're going to see some of the sites related to Lu Xun, and we are going to try some of its famous yellow wine. Well, this is my first time outside of Shanghai since I've been back in China, and I have to say I completely forgot just how busy touristy places in China are. As you can see, there is just tour groups, loudspeakers blaring out everywhere. It's not quite the quiet little old town that I was expecting. So as interested as I am in Lu Xun, I am most definitely not competing with all those crowds there. You know, just to go look at the chair that he sat on or the desk that he wrote on or whatever. I think we can give that a miss. So behind me, this is the Shenheng Hotel, which was opened in like 1890 something. It's really famous here in China because it's the setting of one of Lu Xun's most famous stories about this guy Kong Yiji, which that girl's posing for a photo in front of there. So they were advertising that they have like an afternoon tea set, but pretty disappointingly, we've walked all the way here and there is no afternoon tea. But I'll take you inside really quick just to show you what the hotel looks like, because it is very cool. So this is what it looks like. Like I say, we basically got kicked out and told it's not open, but I just want to show you inside because it is very cool. Yeah, this is supposed to be the #1 place in Shaoxing to eat and drink. And unfortunately, we shall be doing none of that because despite the fact they say it's open, it's not. But just to give you a very brief bit of context, so the story that Lu Xun wrote that takes place in this hotel is called Kong Yiji, and it's basically about this guy called Kong Yiji, the statue that I just showed you out there, and he was the whole story is a very big critique of Confucianism. You know, Lu Xun was very much very left-wing, and he was very much an anti-traditionalist. And so Kong Yiji was basically a guy who devoted his whole life to studying like traditional literature and all the Confucian classics and everything, but he was never good enough to become a civil servant. So he basically just became like a beggar, like a hugely educated, cultured beggar, and he would just hang out outside this hotel. So back in the old days, only the wealthy people, the sort of upper class people were allowed inside, and then all the poor people would have to stand out in this foyer area here and drink. And so he would stand out here and drink with all the poor people, but he was, you know, incredibly cultured and everything, but at the same time he would always beg for money. So you can see behind me there, they got a little tips box on the wall, and it says if you want to pick up the bill for Kong Yiji, leave some money here, which I thought was quite funny. But yeah, so basically he would beg for money to pay for his drinking. It's quite a tragic story. I suggest, it's only a very short one, so I suggest if you can find a translation online, it's a pretty interesting little critique of Confucian culture. So Lu Xun was a very, very left-wing writer. He was, you know, as I said earlier, he's kind of the father of modern Chinese literature, and he is considered one of the greatest modern Asian writers. But you know, he's quite an interesting figure. I'm not a huge reader of Chinese literature, but from the little bit I do know about him, he was very much opposed to traditional Chinese culture. He was a modernist. He originally supported the founding of the Republic of China in 1911. He was very against the traditional Confucian society that came before. But then he felt like the Republic under the nationalists kind of failed in, you know, what he thought was their idea of a democratic revolution. And so, yeah, he was never sort of officially a communist, but his views, I would say, were very much leaning towards communist ideas. I think he died pretty much not long after China became communist. And then he was very much revered by Chairman Mao. But the irony is that because, you know, Lu Xun was such a huge critic of Chinese society at the time, that of course, you know, the communists were very happy to pick up on that and to, you know, to kind of claim him as a part of their revolution. That said, I feel like if Lu Xun was around now, he would be most definitely be censored here in modern China, because, I mean, as much as they venerate his critiques of society then, they most definitely don't want anyone doing that now. And it's kind of interesting that despite how much he's studied in China, I mean, pretty much all kids in school have to learn all of Lu Xun's works. I mean, you come here and you see like just the massive queues queuing up to go see his old home. You know, it does feel like they have pretty much just turned him into a commodity. And I think that's one of the most successful things you can do. If you want to censor something, don't just outright ban it, turn it into a commodity. It's much more powerful. You can see that's something that we do in the West very effectively. Rather than just outright banning and censoring things that we don't like happens here in China. You know, you can go into pretty much any clothes store in a Western country and you can buy kind of, you know, t-shirts of Che Guevara, of the Cuban Revolution, of Chairman Mao, of Stalin. You know, that's what we do. We just turn something into a commodity and we sell it. Let's go have a look. Yeah. So we have a museum or a shop for Shaoxing's famous yellow wine, and you can even get a iced drink. I think this actually is just a really fancy shop. Oh, and they have yellow wine latte, all kinds of is that yellow wine coffee? Yeah. Alright, so ooh, so much alcohol. I won't. We can taste some if we go over there. Oh, I don't think it's tasting, it's just oh, they just bottle it up for you out of these big old vats. Oh, we can taste it. So we've got, from the right, we've got an 8-year one, a 10-year one, a 10-year unfiltered one, and a 20-year unfiltered one. I think we're going to have to try some of the 20-year one. I mean, 128 yuan for one gin, and gin's quite a lot of liquid, right? I think it's okay.
Do you want to try it?
Yeah, I'm going to try some. Okay.
要最贵的，不买好就要贵。
一杯就够。
中央酒。
So far I've only ever drank the very cheap Huangjiu from the supermarket that costs like 28 yuan for a big bottle, and it's honestly not very nice, so I'm curious to see what the real stuff's going to be like.
这个咱一块儿喝，我建议你从那人不给这个，不给这个。 那个太贵了，
I have to say, it's definitely very different.
是吧？那个不正的了，成本不
What do
高
you think?
成本翻一倍。
I like it. It's kind of a little bit sweet. It doesn't have that weird, like, musty taste that the supermarket one has. It's kind of sweet. I like it. 我可以再尝那个。This is the 20-year stuff.
有包装袋子吗？我们提。
Wow, that is much different.
咱们也有人包的，1、2、3、4、5、6、7，48×2，59×2，
That's really like quite powerful.
分开付是吧？
请问这个酒度是多少？
这个有个16.5，
16.5，都是
是110，你扫描。
这个是最高的，然后这个是14度，这个是12度，这个也是14度。
但没有一个就是酒度特别高的。
也是扫描。
So it's only 16%, so a bit more than wine, but yeah, I like it. It's very nice.
这个
10个，就火车上就喝完了算了。饭店
我也尝。
饭店人家自带酒。
So this one, the 8-year one, you can see the colours really, really dark. Oh, it's really sweet. It's really, really sweet and like caramelly and thick. I think I definitely prefer the more expensive one. It's kind of nice too, though, but. Just to give you guys some context, so what they translate as yellow wine, Huangjiu, it's not actually wine. Chinese tend to translate jiu as wine, but it's an alcohol made from rice and other grains, and it's supposed to be one of the oldest forms of alcohol in the world. It's been brewed constantly in more or less the same method for around 2,500 years or so. So it's supposed to be the same alcohol that Confucius used to drink back in the day. So it's tasting a piece of history right here. Alright, well, I think we've had enough of the touristy, noisy, busy street with everyone trying to sell you 150 million versions of Huangjiu. Apparently Shaoxing is supposed to have a lot of old architecture and a lot of little alleyways and back streets, so let's see if we can go find some and see a bit of more authentic Shaoxing life. For those of you that are very interested in Chinese dialects, you can hear these guys are speaking the local Shaoxing dialect. I have absolutely no idea what they're saying, but it's kind of sounds similar, a little bit similar to Shanghai dialect, but kind of less intelligible. Like Shanghai dialect, I can understand maybe half or so of what people are talking about, but I can't understand anything these guys are saying. So there's a nice old house there. I don't know what's inside. I guess someone just lives in there. And then over this way there is a fortune teller. So just going back to those old people speaking Shaoxing dialect, what's really fascinating about China is that the dialects are so diverse that, you know, we've just taken a 1-hour train from Shanghai, and it's, although Shaoxing dialect still comes under the Wu family of dialects, so it's still Wu language, which is one of the big sub-language subgroups of Chinese. It's pretty much completely unintelligible to Shanghainese. People from Shanghai can understand like Suzhou dialect, Ningbo dialect, but once you get out here it starts to get quite different. Man, I do really love all these old traditional buildings. It's a shame there's not more of this, you know, around China. I mean, if you compare to like southern Europe, like Italy, Spain, places like that, you know, the amount of traditional architecture out in the countryside, small towns and stuff. You know, China has much less. I mean, I do get the difference though. I mean, the population here, I don't think you could afford to, I don't think you'd really be able to house an entire population of China if you gave everyone a cool old house like this to live in. There's a very Chinese thing here with people just hanging up their underwear in the street, in this particularly scenic street. It wouldn't be China without the underwear. One thing I'll say as well, guys, is if you're coming to this area of China, you're going to be staying in Shanghai or somewhere nearby, and you're wanting to see some traditional architecture and these old kind of Jiangnan canal towns, I honestly think that Shaoxing is much nicer than Suzhou. Suzhou is the one that gets all the international tourists, it gets the big rep, but I honestly think that this is much more atmospheric. It's much more interesting place because you've got all the yellow wine tradition here. You've got really amazing food, and yeah, I just think it's definitely an underrated place. So this is much less, so another much more authentic little area of old traditional buildings. It seems that Shaoxing is absolutely full of these, and it's I suppose it's kind of nice that most of the visitors are just sticking to that one touristy street that I was talking about before. You know, leaving these areas mostly to locals to just go about their lives and live, being reasonably less bothered by tourists. So I want to just interrupt this video briefly to talk to you guys about a product that I use quite a lot myself. Now, I think you know me well enough by now to know that I would not endorse just anything. If I'm going to promote something, it's only going to be something that I truly believe in and something that I genuinely do use myself. Some of you may know that I also work as a journalist and geopolitical analyst. And having this line of work has made me acutely aware of the biases that are present in a lot of mainstream media reporting on world events. And as such, it becomes harder to know what's really going on and to separate reality from the narratives that are being spun. And so one of the products that I use to get around that is something called Ground News. Ground News is an app and website that combines news from around the world in one place so you can compare coverage. For every news source, you can see if they have a political bias, how reliable their reporting is, and who owns them. You can verify your information and know where the news is coming from. With Ground News, you can see what the media is exaggerating, sensationalizing, over or under reporting. You can see who funds each publication, compare coverage, and think critically about the information you consume. Go to check.ground.news/monkeystealspeach to check it out now. If you subscribe for my link, you get 40% off the Vantage subscription. Well, I was so impressed with the little Huangjiu tasting did in that little shop. Decided to come all the way out to the Huangjiu Museum to get a proper tasting. Apparently you can taste the entire range here and you can see them making it and learn all about the history of China's oldest form of alcohol. One of the world's oldest forms of alcohol. Ooh, look at this. I wasn't expecting this. It looks like we're the only people in here. So here is some archaeological, some ancient rice husk. It doesn't say when, it just says ancient times on there. And then these would be, if these are real, I don't honestly think these are as old as it says, primitive society, but that would have been the early kind of urns they used to make it. But yeah, like as I say, this is one of the oldest forms of alcohol in the world, so this is its origins in this kind of primitive society. People have been making alcohol here for thousands and thousands of years. So yeah, looking at these bronze ones, because I've spent quite a lot of time looking at ancient bronze artifacts in Chinese museums. These are just replicas, but it's interesting to show you anyway. These are the very early Shan dynasty, so 3,500 years ago, the first dynasty of China with a proper written record. So this is the kind of vessels that they used to use for drinking yellow wine back then. And you know, these various old texts from ancient times, I guess, telling you the culture and etiquette about how to drink. So, interesting little thing here, the origin of the Chinese character for alcohol. So the original character was you can see on the left there, that the original character for alcohol was actually just a picture of the urn or the vessel, whatever you call it, that they used to put the alcohol in. So you can see there, and you can see the evolution over time, how the characters change. Don't quite get what that is. Oh, it's seemingly somebody. Oh, I suppose they're using alcohol as an anesthesia for operations, is what it's saying.
This one, doctor. Doctor means the doctor is
the original Chinese character for doctor, I hadn't noticed because it's written in a weird ancient script. The original Chinese character for doctor is somebody giving an operation, and it keeps going off. And they use alcohol as a form of medicine after carrying out surgery, basically, is what it's saying. And then another character which is using alcohol as a form of ritual, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, which I'll talk about with you guys in a bit. And then this is the character for alcohol itself. So as you can see, it's basically the character for water and the character for the vase, the urn, whatever you call it. I still don't know what it's called, but it's basically the liquid that comes out of the urn is alcohol. Yeah, which kind of shows you just how important alcohol was to the ancient Chinese. And as you can see from this little animation, this is showing the ancient rituals. So in ancient China, in the early dynasties, sort of the Qin, the Han, so like 2,000, 3,000 years ago, alcohol was an important part of conducting ancient rituals, Confucian rituals, venerating the gods, venerating your ancestors. It was, just part of all of that kind of ancient religion. But yeah, so that is essentially a very important part of early Chinese religion and culture, is that alcohol was a very important part of ancient rituals. There was a lot of guidelines about how you drink. Confucius put a lot of emphasis on the ritual associated with drinking and how he believed that could bring harmony between people. So, drinking back then was very much unlike this kind of modern concept of just going out and getting absolutely smashed. It was something that was done with the utmost reverence. In many ways, you could kind of view the way the ancient Chinese used alcohol a lot like how shamanic societies might use hallucinogenics to have some, to kind of change their mindset and have some sort of communion with higher spirits. And of course, no exhibit in China would be complete without telling you how much the leaders love Huangjiu. So you can see it's all a great big exhibit about Chinese presidents and how much they all love to drink. You can see Xi here with various leaders tasting and all their, I guess, how they were using Huangjiu as part of their diplomacy. There we go, some more leaders. Oh, look at that. The mayor of Shaoxing introduced yellow wine to some person from Dubai. So you're even getting the Arabs drinking there. So that's how good Chinese diplomacy is. I have to say, the guy doesn't look particularly impressed though, does he? So you're kind of lost in this museum if you don't speak any English, but basically this is breaking down the importance of alcohol in ritual in China. In ancient China, it's saying here, 过节大事为事于节, so 荣为事于荣. So it's like the two most important things in a state, in statecraft, I suppose. The two most important things in statecraft are ritual and military. That's what that means. And then here it's explaining how different forms of alcohol are used in different rituals at different periods of your life. It is kind of strange that, you know, we were at Lu Xun's place and it was absolutely packed and just full of people, and now we've come to the Yellow Wine Museum, and I would have thought that yellow wine would be of more interest to most Chinese people than Lu Xun, but for some reason we are like almost the only people in this entire museum. I mean, the lights are even off upstairs here, you can see there's two other people behind me, but I mean, they haven't even got the lights on, it's that quiet. So it's kind of one of the funny things about China. You can be in the most touristy, busy place 1 minute, and then you're in an absolute empty, dead ghost museum the next. Well, I thought we were going to be getting wasted with our Huangjiu tasting experience, but we literally get 4 tiny little ones between the two of us. So let's dig in. Alright, so we are going to try our 4 little glasses of Huangjiu. The first one is Shaoxing Yuan Huangjiu. So it is apparently a dry yellow wine. There's some tasting notes, but it's a lot of very complicated, obscure Chinese words, so I'm just gonna taste it myself. Ooh, don't like that one. That one tastes like the cheap stuff you get in the supermarket that old alcoholics in Shanghai drink. Not a fan of that one. The next one is Shaoxing Jiafanjiu. So this is like one that's supposed to be be had with food, and it says that it's a semi-dry one. I guess Jiafanjiu means you use it for cooking, or you just...
I don't know. Jiafan means compared with red wine, because the recipe has less water than the wine, so you will have more rice in it.
Oh, so it just means it's got more rice content and less water.
Yeah.
That one's nicer, but it's still not something I would really buy. The next one is Shaoxing Shanyangjiu. So, like special brew, I guess you'd call it. You can see it's quite a lot darker in colour. The first two are basically the same colour, like very yellow. You can imagine what that one looks like. But this one is a lot redder in colour. That one is much nicer. It's a bit sweet. It's a bit like honey. Sort of almost like a honey taste. And the final one, which is very black in colour, it honestly looks like soy sauce, is Shaoxing Shangxue. So like fragrant snow. 这个字是雪吗？
对，香雪酒。
So the last one here is Shaoxing Shangxue, so fragrant snow wine. Oh, this one's almost sickly sweet. It's like and it almost tastes like kind of like orange peel, like kind of citrusy. But it's honestly too sickly for me. I honestly have to say these four were nowhere near as nice as the one that I tried in the little shop that we passed earlier today. So I'm gonna go back there and buy some from there to take home. I'm honestly not that impressed with these ones, sorry. So yeah, aside from the one overly touristy street around Lu Xun's old residence, for some reason all of the tourists are gathered there and they are missing out the rest of this absolutely amazing city. So I would say if you guys are looking for some traditional Chinese architecture, somewhere cool to visit, somewhere without too many tourists, honestly come down to Shaoxing, just stay away from Lu Xun's area, but go to the Huangjiu Museum and then just visit all the little old alleyways around there. It's really atmospheric, it's really nice. Shaoxing is a fantastic city, one of the most underrated, I think, in this region of China. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed that little travel vlog, and I'll see you in the next video.